Right. So, probability was the last section, and I just want to go over it with you so that you can have a basic understanding for the paper. When you're talking about probability, you are talking about the likelihood of something occurring, an event that can occur. So when we talk about probability, we talk about it under two categories. One is the qualitative aspect of probability, and the other is the quantitative aspect of probability. Qualitative aspect of probability is looking for a description. And the quantitative aspect of probability is looking for a numerical value. So when we're looking here at this probability question at the bottom, what is the probability that a day of the week will be a school day? We have to look at the keywords here. They're talking about a week. How many days is a week? It's 7 days. They're talking about school days. So when are you going to have school days? It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that means a total of how many days? 5 days. Am I correct? So if we're looking here, we are basically saying 5 out of the 7 days is going to be our school days. As a qualitative response, I now need to say, is this probability something that is likely to occur? It is evenly matched, or it is unlikely to occur. So your probability in your qualitative aspects is going to be likely, even odds, and unlikely. You can even go to the extreme and say if something is definitely going to happen, it is going to be certain. And if something is definitely not going to happen, it is going to be impossible. Right. So these are the qualitative terms. Certain is 100% accurate. It's going to happen. Likely, it's going to be something that is very commonly going to happen, but maybe not in every single instance. Even odds is your chance 50-50. Unlikely is something that it can happen, but you don't see it often. And impossible is something that will never happen. Right? So, am I going to fly? Impossible. Right? Or should have said, am I going to fly with the wings? Because if I got an airplane, I was going to fly. But if I say the sun is going to rise the next day, that is going to be certain, because the sun does rise the next day. If I talk about what's the probability of landing heads? Remember, you only got 2 options, heads or tail on a coin. So definitely it's even odds. You can land a head or you can land a tail, but there's only 1 of 2 options you can choose. But in this case, I'm saying, what is the probability that a day of the week is going to be a school day? So 5 out of 7 definitely is bigger than even odds, but it's not certain. So it is going to be likely. So my answer, the qualitative answer to this question is going to be likely. What is then going to be the quantitative answer for this question? If I say, as a fraction, what am I going to do? I am going to have a fraction with a numerator and a denominator. In my numerator, I'm going to say preferred event. So what you want? So we're looking for school days. And at the bottom for my denominator, I'm going to say total events. Which means that in total, there is what I want to happen and there is what is also going to happen. Since we're talking about days of the week, we know that the total number of days in a week is going to be 7. And we know that the preferred event, which is the number of school days, is going to be 5. So my answer as a fraction is 5/7. You must remember that because it is a fraction, the rules of fractions apply. So don't forget to simplify. Remember, you can also write your fraction as a ratio, but you can deal with that when you're dealing with ratios. Not only can you write it as a fraction, you can also write it as a decimal. So as a decimal, what would I do? I go to my calculator and I'm going to take 5, I'm going to divide it by 7, correct? And when I do that, I'm going to end up with a value that is less than 1. Because we are writing it as a decimal, all probabilities will be less than 1. If you find that you get a probability greater than 1, clearly you have done something a little bit strange. And the last one is to write it as a percentage. If you want to write it as a percentage, it's pretty easy. All you need to do is take your fraction, so that's numerator, divided by denominator, and you say times 100. So you can give me this answer in 3 ways. You can give it to me as a fraction, as a decimal, or as a percentage. You can ask the question or variety of questions. The 2 key things you are looking for: the total number of events that can occur and the number of preferred events that you want to occur. There you have your numerator and your denominator. Whether you are giving a qualitative or a quantitative response, my recommendation, always find your fraction. If you find that your fraction is going to be giving you a value that's greater than 0.5, then you're going to be looking at likely. If it gives you a value of less than 0.5, it will be unlikely. If it gives you a value that is 0.5, that is even odds. If it gives you a value of 1, it is certain. And if it gives you a value of 0, then it is impossible. So, again, even odds, 0.5, right? If you are going to be likely, that means you are going to be greater than 0.5. And if you are certain, you are going to be 1. Unlikely, that means you are going to be less than 0.5. Alright, there you are going to talk about impossible, where you are going to be 0. That is your problem.